The final one. The final... I'm giving away like a ton of books other than these. These are just the ones that have notes in them. I did not like this book. This is a bad book. I feel comfortable saying that this is a bad book. In so many ways. I'm sure there are people who would enjoy it. I'm sure there are people who would agree that it's a bad book and enjoy it. Yeah, I read this for the same class for which I read the Sophie Kinsella book, which was a chick lit class. Which was cool. The cool thing about that class was there was definitely a big theme in that class was it's fine to say that the book is shit. It's fine. Okay, you don't like the book. Great. That's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about sort of how these books deal with audience. There's sort of the cultural context. Because that book was that class was interdisciplinary. It was like GWIS, which is gender, which I found out in that class. GWIS is what the cool kids call GWSS, gender and women's studies and sexuality. GWIS. Anyway, it was that and also English. So it was talking about, like, you know, the cultural element of things. But we did also read books, which was very cool. It was very fun to read books like this. Not this specifically. This sucked. And it's like, this is incredibly long. It doesn't look it. It looks like, you know, pretty standard length. But it is about 300 pages. And let's take a look at how it's printed. Fairly small print, hardly any margins to speak of. And honestly, not as much dialogue as you would expect? Question mark? I was surprised at how much space is taken up by just fucking this shit, you know? By just blabbing about some bullshit and just sort of describing things rather than, you know, boom, 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 these people talking to each other, drama, drama type stuff. The first chapter especially was like brutal. It took me so long to get through this. But I actually did read the whole thing, which I'm stunned that I did. But I did read the whole thing. I have so many notes in this as well. Here's the thing, there is the only part of this that I found that was like, oh, this is like really good. I mean, I guess there were some moments that were like funny or like dramatically intriguing or whatever. But like thematically, there is some discussion of like Latino identity, Latinidad. You know, this was written at a time when a lot of people suddenly realized, oh, there's a lot of Latinos in the U.S. We can make money off of them, and so suddenly they were, you know, a bit more of a hot item, but only in specific ways, and you need to be Latino in this way, and et cetera, et cetera. So that kind of stuff is very interesting, but also kind of weird, which I'll get into as I go through the notes. Cuba is the oozing recurrent tumor we inherit from our fathers. Like, that's a good line, come on. I was hired only to be a red, hot, and spicy, cliched, chili pepperish cross between Charo and Lois Lane. What is on this side here? Which was the main character being mildly... So here we have, here's where my problems with this book start. Is the main character being mildly contemptible a part of the chick-lit formula? The answer is no. Having problems, sure, but being mildly contemptible... Yeah, this is, I think usually there's more of a self-deprecating thing going on, which I think maybe a couple of the characters in this have, but most of them are like super overly confident and arrogant and stuff. I cannot possibly read all of these. There's like so much shit, so I'm just gonna pick and choose kind of. Here's a note that I wrote. Important! This book came out in 2003. The racism is probs, not exaggerated, underplayed, if anything. Which is to say, when I was reading this, I was initially like, really? Would they really say that? And I was like, oh, this was written a while ago. You know, which isn't to say that racism and sort of, you know, commodification of Latino-ness isn't still a thing, but it's just a lot subtler now. Like, the people at her job are very unsubtle. I myself don't have a car. Fuck a car. Okay, Jesus, Francis. I myself don't have a car. I could afford one. Okay, so don't laugh. I'm past the fabled 6-figure mark, thanks to that little national rank. She's a reporter. That's her. Well, she's either an advice columnist or just like a general lifestyle topics columnist. And she's making 6 figures. Like, what the fuck? So this says, for real, like salary or total? Like, is that what she has in her bank? Is 6 figures? Either way, that's fucking insane. It's supposed to be confessional. My column, a Latina diary with punch. And the note says, how does this criticism square with the fact that this is a Latina, you could say, chick lit book? Is this meta at all? Critique of the publisher/publishing industry? This just says, God, I'm hungry. I mean, they are eating. I guess I was hungry when I was reading. Nobody knew that we had no idea what a Latino was supposed to be, that we just let the moniker fall over us and fit in the best we could. I have UGG written next to this paragraph, which is Lauren, the person who's been narrating this whole time, talking about her man problems. This is so fucking weird. A character whose problems are all based on a man, not like stress about work, or school, or money, or some health issue. Like, where's that book? That's why it feels so shallow. They tell me to grow my hair, to cut my hair, to gain weight, to lose weight, to speak more clearly, to be proud of my accent, to change my name, to revel in my Spanish surname. This is a different character now. This is, maybe the best character, question mark? The only one that's not an asshole, I mean? Kind of. They're all fucking assholes, honestly. I like my coffee sweet. Roberto likes his straight. Villain makes it just the way we like it. Who cares? This book has a lot of, like I said, it's like, I think it's honestly probably could have used it and edited. It's like so much details that aren't important. Oh, this is, okay, so the character who's like a reporter, who I said is the only good one maybe, is also gay. And then this is another character finding out about this. She says, oh God, I think of all the times I've said homophobic things to Elizabeth, all the times I've pointed out gay or lesbian couples to her at the movies or the mall and laughed. That must have been hard on her, so why didn't she tell me? Does she think... Like, come on. Again, this is not me criticizing the author necessarily. I think this character is supposed to just be fucking... I think a lot of the characters are just supposed to be fucking assholes. This is yet another character who's very social justice minded. I hate her and I hate how hateable she's been written, is what I have here, which is how I feel about a lot of these characters. They're like stereotypes of certain types of people, but I think they're unfair stereotypes a lot of the time. Love to validate my anti-imperialist ideals via horrible capitalist institutions. Yeah, she ends up doing her whole bullshit thing of like, I'm fucking the master liberator or whatever the fuck. But she does it by selling lots of records. She's got a bad character arc. It's not fun. In a lot of different ways. He walks like a man with power. Great simile, Valdes. Cool. Oh yeah, and then she's also like, the author makes mistakes, and she's supposed to be like this, oh, fucking political correctness gone crazy, oh, she's so social justice minded, blah blah blah. But she also does shit like this, where it's like, I apologize out loud to Mother Earth for the sins of my fellow man. Like, hello? She wouldn't say fellow man, right? She would say fellow person, or fellow human, or if you wanted to go the really corny, like, well, hey, isn't she crazy for being feminist? You would say fellow woman. But the fucking author can't even get that right. Like, you're doing such an unfair portrayal of this just to make a character that's kind of hateable, I guess, I don't know. But then you're also bad at it. Like, come on, what is wrong with you? This is a fun little thing. So each chapter begins with an excerpt from Lauren's column. Here's my note. So is this about the column, another column section, so is this supposed to be disgustingly universalizing and sexist? Is it all from the perspective of her boss? Like, is this her being pressured into writing really trite, hey gals, we all know Valentine's Day's coming up. Again, wondering if this stuff is supposed to be bad. Is this Lauren Fernandez being bad? Is this her boss being bad? Or is this Valdes being bad? Who knows? And at a certain point, if you're trying to, like, especially if you're, like, trying to get laughs from, like, oh, look, she said an inappropriate thing, but it's kind of funny, isn't it? Then it's still just bad, even if you know it's bad, you know? Don't give it up unless he plans to stick around. Oh, gross. Here's a fucking weird thing. I fill him in on all this media nonsense about Elizabeth being a lesbian. She's worried she won't get the big national job because Rupert Mandrake, head of the network's parent company, is some big family values, meaning lesbian-hating crusader. I won't be able to use my hair... Oh yeah, this is just another contemptible character being contemptible. She is, like, probably the worst, or she's the meanest, I think. Like, she just treats her boyfriend like absolute dog shit. Oh! Also, her name is Usnavis because her mom saw a U.S. Navy ship and was like, "There's a good name." Like I guess she wanted to name her after the boat, but she just was like Usnavi because the boat said U.S. Navy on it or whatever. Which is also the name and name origin of a character in The Heights by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Which I think was just a sort of an incident of parallel thinking. Or fuck, maybe they both knew an actual person who actually was named Usnavis. But yeah, this came out in 2003, this book. And In the Heights was 2005. That's when it premiered. But, oh yeah, earliest draft of In the Heights was in 1999. So I think it was just probably parallel thinking. I can't imagine that Lin-Manuel Miranda just like read this book in 2003 and was like, ooh, I've got to put that in it's going in the musical now. I'm just going to steal this. Can't imagine he even, I mean, maybe he could have read this, I guess. But I just think that's like very, I don't know, it's interesting. I'm only halfway through this. What the fuck? Cool, so Usnavis is the worst one, is what this says. He has no shirt on. This is the social justice character's boyfriend. Just his low-riding ripped-up jeans and his woven hemp sandals. His hair is tied back and he wears a leather leather headband. Thanks. I make dinner, raw vegetables, and sprouted wheat grains. And my note says, I think stuff like this is supposed to be funny. Like, it's supposed to be like a joke. Like, aren't these people hippies or whatever the fuck? But it's just like, cool. Good for them. So she gets millions of dollars for this record deal. My note says, well, just look, what WTF is this book with these rich-ass women? Everyone is, like, seriously, I think all the characters are, like, incredibly wealthy. The only one who's not is only not wealthy because, like, her husband is wealthy, but I don't think she has a job. It's mid-February, usually this is the column again. It's mid-February, usually a hot time for the housing market, but most of us in the city are nowhere near getting a house. Why? Because they'll cry me a fucking river. I don't care about you not being able to buy a fucking house. Who cares? Oh, here we have a bunch of transphobic stuff about drag queens. This is Lauren, or she's the closest thing to a main character, Lauren being transphobic. And she's talking about her boyfriend. She's saying, I was stalking a few other guys casually and had lost all faith in men. He was the first Latino I met who could actually tell if the woman who just walked into the restaurant was a drag queen. Most of them can't. I'm not going to read all this. But she's like, I'll just be clear, I don't think that transphobia is meant to be read as a bad characteristic. I think Valdes is just being a scumbag in this and other moments. There's other transphobic stuff in here. And I'll explain why later when we get to it. But yeah, I think this is not like, oh, we're supposed to get that this character is transphobic. No, Valdes is transphobic. In this moment. Maybe she's not now. I don't know. This was years ago. Oh, and then love to be human trash is what this says. I think this is still Lauren, our reporter character. I make more than most people, right? But here's the thing. It costs more to live in Boston than any other city in the country, pretty much. Even more than San Francisco. So you end up with 6 figures on paper, but you're living like a graduate student. Doubt it. Okay, here's a fun thing. So she's gotten, her record is big and popular and stuff. If you didn't know me and didn't listen to my work, you'd think it was true, that I was a conflicted, angry Latina Alanis, or a Latina Joplin, or a Latina Courtney Love. The US media write as if Latina anything can't possibly be good enough to just be herself, an artist with no ethnic qualifier, no white or black mainstream comparison. Have you seen the back of this book? Have you seen the back of this book? Let me show you. A compulsive beach... here it is. There's a bunch of quotes and stuff. A compulsive beach read delivers on the promise of its sexy title. The feel of a night out with the girls. An incredible first novel. Like the Hispanic version of Waiting to Exhale. Like, come on. Really? It's on the back of the book. It says it right here. I mean, it doesn't say Latina, but still. This is just me being mad at this stupid-ass character. Oh, here we go. Ever since you stopped coming to the danzas, he's been spending a lot of time before and after the ceremonies talking to Tequi, that young girl from Diamond Bar. How much time? A lot. They come together. They leave together. This is talking about her boyfriend. And my note says, why is the only way to signify that a male character is bad having them cheat or beat? Which is, like, very common in this. It's just either physical abuse or cheating on someone. That is the only way that a man can be bad to his partner. Oh, we're getting to the end. We're getting to the end, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this maybe gives you a feeling of what it was like to read this book. Oh my god, it's exhausting. Why this says thesis statement. Let the money speak for itself. Thesis statement. What? What does that mean? This is two scumbags talking about how they don't see color and anyone can make it in America. Again, I think they're supposed to be scumbags. But also, like, consider the fact that a lot of people would read that and just be like, I 100%, hey, they're onto something there. And Valdes makes no effort to, like, specifically condemn them or prove them wrong, really. This is back to our singer, social justice character. You don't know? I don't know anything. Her record is #1 in the country. No, it isn't. Are you kidding? Yes. She's about to be the most famous vampire you know, Liz says. No. This character... That's another fun thing that books sometimes do. A character is just wildly successful. I get that that does happen, but it's just, like, so fucking unbelievable. Like, come on. Someone makes a gay joke about someone being gay. Oh, yeah. So these characters are having a conversation. Then we park on the curb near my apartment complex at a meter. We walk in silence the rest of the way to my apartment. Once we're inside, we sit at the dining table and I continue to talk. And then basically just resume the conversation. It's like, you clearly just didn't want to write, you clearly just wanted to have the scene blocked in this specific setting. So you just had them totally silent as they walk to the apartment? Why? That's so weird. Yeah, there's a lot of really, I think, really transparent nuts and bolts novelistic stuff going on where it's like, you clearly just wanted this to happen, so you're having this really unnatural thing. You're forcing your characters to act in very unnatural, weird ways. Our social justice character has changed her name, and she says, please call me Quicottle. She says, that's my new name. I'm not a part-time Indian, so don't treat me like one. Humorless as always. I would if I could pronounce it okay, girl, but I can't. So you're Amber to me. What a good friend. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the fun part. This is why I think that Valdes is just being transphobic. Because she even has the gay character be transphobic, which, I'm not saying that that doesn't happen. I'm saying that if you wanted to be critical of transphobia, you would probably utilize the gay characters as a chance to not be transphobic, you know? But she doesn't. Yeah, this is the gay character narrating. I become the subject of a morality war between the extreme far Christian right and the extreme far gay left right here in downtown Boston. What I hate the most is the two drag queens who've decided to show up in full regalia looking like the biggest, hairiest, ugliest women on earth. This does nothing to help my cause. Then just... One of those for you and yours, Valdes. Here's some really weird shit. I want out of here, out of this cold, gray wasteland, out of this hateful culture. She's talking about America. She's talking about leaving America. Out of this hateful culture where people don't hug unless they want sex from... I'm sorry. What does that mean? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? People don't hug unless they want sex from you? Is that a thing? Is that a pickup artist move? To hug someone? What are you talking about, Valdes? Maybe it's just a Boston. Maybe it's very specifically a Boston. This is, we're back to Usnavis, the worst one, and her boyfriend, Juan, who is, I'll remind you, Puerto Rican. This is important because we have... Sorry, Juan isn't Puerto Rican. Usnavis is Puerto Rican. Juan might be Puerto Rican, too. I don't fucking know. Usnavis is Puerto Rican, though. She speaks Spanish. I punch Juan lightly on the arm and say, hey, did you know doves sound just like pigeons? Shouldn't they make a classier noise? Juan rolls his eyes and kisses me on the lips again. Figured you'd think that, he says with a smile. What? Doves are pigeons. It's the same bird. Better publicist. No way, don't lie. And then I have my comment, which is, it's the same word in Spanish. It is even the same word in Spanish, you dumbass. Paloma. Paloma is the word for, which is how I learned that they're the same. I was like, what's the word for pigeon? Paloma. Wait, isn't that... Then my mind was blown, because I was like, holy shit. But yeah. So, true story. That wasn't not relevant to anything. But it's just like, this is a result of not having a copy editor that knows much about Spanish. Or an editor in general, I guess. Or proofreader, or whatever. Puerto Rico is more of a nation than the US, at least in raw emotion. Just a good line. That's just a good line. Haven't had a lot of good lines, but there's one. Oh, and then we're done. It's kind of fun rereading this, because I feel like rereading this, I've a lot more realized that like a lot of this stuff that I was just like pissed at the time is like Valdes knows. She knows that these people are being trash. But the question is she still trading on a lot of times really offensive jokes to try and get a laugh out of the reader? Like, even though she knows they're offensive? Yes. Is some of the stuff straight up not even her trying to be horrible and trying to make the characters seem horrible, like the transphobia? Yes. Some of the stuff is just Valdes being horrible. Is the book itself like very contradictory of like... Yes. Which is honestly the most interesting part of the book, is the way the different characters have to portray Latino-ness in their jobs, Latinidad in their jobs, and the way that's commodified, and what kind of Latino you have to be and all this stuff. But it's not, definitely not, did not end up being as central an element as I would have hoped. It's mainly just people being horrible.